Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, whenever you watch this back. Welcome to the Gym Floor Lead Generation series that I am doing a two-part series on this that we've done live. But essentially, I forgot to press record, hence why I'm doing this in a pre-recorded version now. You might see part two, which is in a live environment, so there might be a lot more interaction and so on. But for the sake of this, I'm going to go at quite a pace throughout this session through the content. So I would encourage you to take notes. And if you need to, just stick me on pause for a bit and start to write a few things down so it helps you apply them things moving forward. Whereas on part two, you might get that two-way engagement. So you've got that time to kind of make notes, answer questions and all of that type of stuff. All right. If you haven't met me before, my name is Anthony Park. I'm the PT business manager at Pure Gym. I'm a coach, essentially. I've been coaching for 18 years in commercial gyms, private gyms, still coach now, but predominantly online, and coach a lot of personal trainers too. So I'm going to give you as much support today as possible in how you turn conversations on the gym floor into clients. So let's get stuck in. All right, so part one, which is what I'm going to deliver to you right now, is basically taking you through how can you address any self-limiting beliefs with gym floor lead generation, because a lot of PTs have lots of self-limiting beliefs that we'll get into, and I'll support you to overcome in this webinar. Then I'm going to help you improving your mindset to market for moving forward, so you don't feel salesy, pushy, desperate, all of them things that you probably tell yourself. And then we'll start to have a look at what most PTs struggle with, which is normally creating that first step. So how can I create commitment and intent? So I can turn up in the hours that I want to fill, I can help people, I can lead generate, I can sell to people, and it aligns with my values so I don't feel a bit icky with it and all of that type of stuff. So I'm going to help you with the first step. And then ultimately, the whole purpose of this part one today is turning conversations into clients. Part two is very much more strategic into lead generation and marketing, because you're going to need a plan. No business that is reliant on customers and consumers can operate without a marketing lead generation plan. And if you are, you're winging it, which we all do at time to time. Let's be real. But there's only so long that you can wing it, because let's be honest, we need to make sure that we've got a repeatable process that gives us a level of security and consistency within our business so we don't feel insecure and our business isn't all over the place. And to do that in part two, I'm going to cover creating a lead magnet, generating consistent leads from the gym floor, and then how you follow up and convert them leads within that whole process. Okay. So that's what I'm going to go through. But today I'm just going to go through part one, and you'll see part two on my PT Zone as well. The only thing that I will say is, if you struggle to apply or stay accountable to some of this stuff because it's so uncomfortable for you, or it isn't something that you have kind of practiced before, it's a skill that you need to get better, we have the mentoring sessions that happen weekly. If you go onto my PT Zone, you can access and book on them there. They're completely free, where you bring to the table any questions, discussion points, and things that you're struggling with this type of stuff. And I'll help you kind of overcome that and start to plan and apply things moving forward. All right. So first thing that we're going to tackle is helping you address self-limiting beliefs. So at this point, I want you to start to think about the self-limiting beliefs that you might have with, if I said, right, if I was in your gym right now, go out on the gym floor and help people, what would be the initial self-limiting beliefs that you would have? Okay. And self-limiting beliefs, so like it says at the top there, are the ones which have the greatest potential for impacting us negatively upon achieving our full potential. And some of these examples are here, which you probably just wrote down. The fear of rejection. Nobody in the gym can afford PT at the moment. At this point that I'm delivering this, there's a rising cost of living, gas and electric bills are going up. So it's easy sometimes to think of that and go, oh, no, hardly anyone's going to have PT. So there's no point me going out my way. I'd rather them come to me. I don't like to be disturbed when I train. So that's a common phrase that most personal trainers say. Although this is not about you, it's about people who need your help. I can't talk to people as everyone is wearing headphones or earphones. That's a common one that we hear all of the time. I don't want to come across salesy or pushy to people. Or better still, there is no one to talk to. So a lot of PTs turn around and say to me, and I'd do it. I'd go out on the gym floor and I'd help people, but it's hardly anyone to speak to. Bear in mind that most Pure gyms have 4,000 visits a week on average. So there's plenty of people to talk to. Okay, so all of these are common self-limiting beliefs that most of you have as personal trainers. They're all valid because what they're doing is essentially trying to protect us in one way or another. It's our brain telling us that if we put ourselves out there, that there could be an opportunity there at that point that's going to dent our ego, our pride, and we might get rejected. Now, one of the things that I want to support you with today is to reframe that mindset completely. And the reason for that is because we have no right to have the fear of rejection at the forefront of our minds when we haven't gone out there and consistently helped people on the gym floor. We're not rejecting nothing, are we? We can't get rejected on just saying hello to people, smiling and building on them conversations. So normally it's our expectations that bring about these self-limiting beliefs, and it's our expectations that we need to address, work on, and then hopefully overcome over time. So I'm going to come back to these points throughout the webinar of how you can start to plan to overcome them, because they're all valid. I went through all of these. Literally for the first 3 or 4 years of my career, I said all of this. And it takes time sometimes to get over it, but it also takes practice, because at the end of the day, what we're about to go through is social skills, soft skills. And sometimes, as basic as that sounds, most PTs look for the magic pill with lead generation and marketing, when really we just have to do the basics really well. And the basic soft skills and communication skills is what we're going to focus on today. Now, some of you might sit there and go, yeah, but that's not going to get me clients. Honestly, it will. Before we start to put a lead generation or marketing plan together, which you all should have, you also need to get better at having conversations with people. You've only got to look at the rise in the amount of online coaches or personal trainers using direct messages on Instagram, for example, to drive sales into their business. Why are they doing that? Well, first of all, because the algorithm's really rubbish and 8% of people see the majority of your posts. But second of all, is because conversations are king when it comes to converting people into your business. You guys have a captive audience consistently on the gym floor to have conversations with, but most personal trainers avoid it because you're not comfortable, confident to have them conversations because your expectations are on the sale. And again, I'll come to this a little bit further down the line. So hold them thoughts, and hopefully I can help you overcome them in the next 30 minutes or so. So something that I felt was really important to share with you to help you, first of all, start to overcome your self-limiting beliefs is that, as you can see at the bottom of the page, in September and October, so the best part of Q3 and Q4 last year, we went out to the Pure Gym members and we did a survey to find out how they're thinking and feeling about personal training. Like, what's their opinion on it? Would they buy personal training? All of that type of stuff. And we went out to circa like 20,000 members. I think it was up to 25,000 when it finished. And we asked them certain questions like the one that you see on the screen right now. How likely are you to use the services of a personal trainer to support you on your fitness goals at Pure Gym? So as you can see, 22% are very likely or likely to buy personal training. Now, you might think that sounds quite low, but think about the captive audience and the average membership base of a Pure Gym, okay? It's quite high. And when we dig into this a little bit more, you could also argue that the 25% in neither likely or unlikely probably don't know what it is, don't know the value behind it, and probably need to be educated in that with interaction, with content, with support, and all of the other stuff that you have the opportunity to do. So you could argue that's 47% of people that are either on the fence or would have personal training. Now, why is this relevant? Because I know if I was sat there as a personal trainer or a new personal trainer within my first 3, 4, 5 years, this would give me a spike in confidence that actually people want to be helped in the gym, and all of them limiting beliefs that I've just previously had on the other page actually aren't as valid as I thought they were. Okay. And as you can see there, currently 6% of them people are using personal training right now. Okay. So we've got a decent opportunity here to start to look at the fact that over 1 in 5 members are likely to use personal training. Hold that thought, and also hold them self-limiting beliefs, because hopefully this is starting to help you overcome them slightly. We also asked the question of how comfortable would you be with a personal trainer approaching you in the gym to offer help, support, and advice. Now look at that. 63% of members are happy for you to approach them. Now, I'm sure some of you will pick holes in that and go, yeah, but that's just over half, and so on. But again, we could argue that actually there's 21% there that say neither comfortable or uncomfortable because they don't know what to expect. Maybe their vision or view on that is that you're going to sell to them. all right, off the back of it. So you could argue it's a lot more, around 80%. But what we're saying is that the bare bones of this feedback is that over half of the members in your gym right now, and the average Pure Gym has over 4,000 members in that gym, want your help. Okay, so all of them self-limiting beliefs that we've just gone through, i.e., members with earphones, basically feeling salesy and pushy. I don't want to be disturbed when I train. A lot of it comes from us and not members. Members want to be helped. What you've got to understand is that it's us that don't want to be disturbed when we train. It's us that don't want to have our attention kind of grabbed whilst we've got our earphones in and are about to set up for a conventional deadlift. Like all of that type of stuff. It's us that brings these self-limiting beliefs to the forefront of our mind. It's not actually the direct feedback that we've got from members at all, because as you can see now, if you're going to improve your mindset to market, you have to take into consideration some of this accurate, data-driven feedback. So to summarize, and why does this matter? Well, 63% of members are happy to be approached by a PT. 6% are currently using a PT. 22% are likely to buy PT. So on average, when we look at and crunch the numbers, on average, these 880 members in your gym right now that want personal training on the current average membership base. Now you look at that again and go, right, well, actually that's 146 clients per PT, because there's an average of 6 PTs in each gym. So if you look at that, you currently could have 146 clients in your business right now. Now, again, some of you will sit there and pick holes in it and go, right, well, that's on the average membership base. What about people who come frequently and all of that? And I'm sure you will sit there and pick holes in it. But fact is, there is a huge appetite for what you do. So all of the self-limiting beliefs that we've just gone through, in a lot of cases, aren't valid. And now you've got it in black and white, in proof and evidence and facts. The majority of members on the gym floor want your help. A lot of them don't understand what PT is. A lot of them think it's just one-to-one PT. You count reps, you give them a program. They're not sure probably about, do you give nutrition advice? What is online coaching? Do you do small group PT? What is that? They don't know, okay? But right now, there is a huge opportunity and appetite for you to go out on the gym floor and help people in a consistent way. And that's where it starts, helping people in a consistent way, not selling to people, should I say, straight away. We've got no right to do that, okay? And we're going to address some of them points in a minute. So one of the first questions I want you to ask yourself is, when we're trying to use that information and go, right, well, what do I need to do first to make the most of that opportunity? The first question you want to ask yourself is, how many clients could you honestly take on right now? Because I'm pretty certain it's not 146, okay? Now, again, sit down, work this out. It can't just be, 5, 10. This has to align with your goals. How many clients do I want in my business right now that aligns with my financial goals and targets? So you should be sat down working out your goals, your business plan and all of that and go, right, I need 5 people. And you could argue 5 of them on 2 sessions per week. So that's 10 hours, all of that type of stuff. But you need to start to think about, right, I need X amount of people. Now, when I asked this in a live environment, there wasn't many that got over, say, 6 or 7 new people. You then correlate that to the average membership numbers. So about 4,000 visits a week. And the amount of appetite for PT, you need 4, 5, 6 of them. So hopefully, if you're ever overwhelmed or worried about it not moving in the right direction or where to start or what to do first, well, initially, I need to work out how many people I need. And then the next step that I need to do is, once I've worked out how many people I need and how many hours is that, is then start to plan, where are them hours within my working week? Now, as I said to the guys in the live environment, like, it's about having the commitment and intent to be able to, and I don't like this term, but show up, right? Now, I was advised when I was first a PT at Fitness First that you've got to show up as much as possible. So all I did was show up as much as possible, about 10, 12. I lived in the gym, basically. Now, what that meant is that I was reactively taking on clients because I wasn't confident to go out there on the gym floor. I was just there. So whenever there was an opportunity that someone was looking at the profile board, someone asked PT at reception or whatever it was within Fitness First in them days, I then got first dibs because I was there and I wasn't busy. Now, what that meant is that then my schedule was all over the place because it was dictated by clients and not me. I was so happy to be able to get paid and train people and so on. I was working whenever they wanted to work. But lo and behold, I continued that process for 3, 4, 5 years until I literally hated my job because I was there 10, 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, burnt out. And I was just basically losing any level of enthusiasm and initial values that I had for the role because I was so burnt out. And that happened because I had no control over my marketing. Forget my time, I had no control over my marketing. So basically, I put my marketing in other people's hands. I was waiting for them to come to me because of the self-limiting beliefs I used to tell myself. But if I was you and I was sat there and I was looking at that data that I've just gone through, that would reassure me that actually I need to go out there and find these people. Because if I don't, I'm probably going to fail because the average PT lasts 7.5 months and they leave because they're not earning enough money. So the stats and the data is against me. And off the back of it, if I still wait for people to come to me, I'm probably going to end up with like a business like Ant that I ended up hating because it's dictated by all of my clients. So one of the first steps and positive things that you can do is look at your schedule and go, right, them 5 people that I need, let's say them 10 hours that I want to fill. So them 5 people on 2 sessions per week, where are them 10 hours? Now, as you can see on here, you've got access to this on my PT Zone. All of this purple is lead generation. All right. So I've put in, and if I look there, there's 18 hours worth of lead gen. So let's say this person needs 9 people on 2 sessions per week, 18 hours worth of lead gen. Okay. Now that's quite a lot. But what would I be focused on within that time? Well, first and foremost, as a PT that's new or a PT that's not in the habit of committing to helping people on the gym floor consistently, my only focus for the first probably 2, 3, 4 weeks is how many people can I help in them hours that I want to fill. I want to see people in there at the same times as that I'm helping people, the same times I want to work, and I'm going to control and dictate my schedule. Well, how does that help you further down the line? Well, as you start to convert people into your business, you're working the hours that you want to work. You're also seeing people in who come in at them times who have a structure and a routine that you're not disturbing because essentially you're taking them on whenever you want to take them on, or you're changing their times, which means adherence might be a factor further down the line. You have complete control. And actually, you can build relationships a hell of a lot easier that way. You're seeing familiar faces. They're feeling a sense of belonging for you because you're helping them consistently, and it's going to help within that lead generation and marketing process. So the first step is how many people, how many hours, where are them hours going to be? And then the first step after that is how can I help as many people as possible within them hours? Why? Because we have no right selling before we serve. Okay. And I'll give you some more examples of this in a minute. So my first thing that I want to kind of talk through is thinking less about the content of your lead generation and more about the conversations. And what do I mean by this is that normally most of our industry these days look for the magic pill, and normally that magic pill is via social media. And some of you are mad for this because you spend more time on social media than you actually do on the gym floor helping people, when under 10% of people see your posts that you put effort into, videos, editing, captions, and all of that, when you have full control of people, what people see on the gym floor. There's tons more people there that can access you, your lead magnets, and so on. But push the lead magnets aside a minute. How can you create more conversations? How can you get better at having meaningful conversations with people, understanding their name and building on that over time? Because you might not think that's going to get you clients straight away, but I guarantee that the members of your gym are so not used to that because the other personal trainers can't get out their own way with their self-limiting beliefs, that when you go out of your way to do that in a consistent way, then it makes a huge difference to people. They feel like they belong. They've got a point of contact. You've remembered their name. It's massive. Okay. So that is the first step. Forget the magic pill. Forget the lead generation magnet. We'll get onto that in the second session. How can I have more conversations with people? And one of the key questions that I want you to ask yourself to finally start to overcome your self-limiting beliefs with having conversations, helping people, lead generation and sales is, how would you like to be sold to? And I want you to pause the video and start to write some points down. How do you like to be sold to? We ask that question because it helps you reflect on the main kind of, let's say, transactions that you've made, whether they're big, small, or whatever, and go back over and go, right, well, how do I like to be sold to? If you're anything like me, I don't like to be sold to. As soon as you start to directly sell to me, you might be the nicest person in the world. You might have the greatest product or service in the world. But if you try and directly sell that product to me, I will initially build up a barrier and think, you know what, I don't want to listen to this person. And that's me. I've always been like that. So that's why I struggled in the first 2 or 3 years of being a PT. Because I didn't want to be one of them icky, salesy, pushy, desperate people onto people on the gym floor and all of that. And I couldn't get out my own way with it. And it took me 3 or 4 years to sit there until someone asked me that question and go, how do you like to be sold to? And I sat there and be like, people who look as though they care, take an interest, go out their way to have meaningful conversations with me. And off the back of it, I can see some element of proof or value in that product or service that I'm going to get reassurance that I'm buying into the right thing. That would be my main key point. So when I ask this PTs, most PTs are very similar. Now, one of the things that you then need to ask yourself is, off the back of that, how much of that are you doing right now? Because when I asked myself that question 3 or 4 years into PT, how do you like to be sold to? I got all my answers down. And then I sat there and I was like, I ain't doing any of that right now. I'm not having meaningful conversations. I'm not going out my way to look as though I care for people on the gym floor. I'm not taking an interest. I'm not remembering names. And now I'm absolutely moaning all the time that the gym's not giving me leads. I'm paying the sales girls in Fitness First to give me leads. And I'm desperate for leads, but I'm not doing any of that. So it didn't align with my values. And it was the biggest kick up the backside that I gave myself and I ever had. Because then I could sit there and go, right, well, you don't deserve sales. You don't deserve leads because you're not actually doing the things that you would like to happen if someone was selling to you. And that was a big turning point for me. But then off the back of that, it was about, right, well, how do I create effective conversations that aren't focused on the end goal, which is selling, that are very much meaningful, remembering people's names, find out more about people. Because at that point, probably 22, 23, when I first started PT and I'd been in it 3 or 4 years, I was probably a little bit socially awkward, like head in my phone, not having loads of interaction apart from the clients that I've got and all of that. So it was like re-practicing a social skill to be present in a conversation whilst learning more about myself. And there'll be some of you that can relate to that now, especially in this day and age when more people, especially coaches, are fixed to their phones all the time and not having meaningful conversations. But one thing that we need to tell ourselves is go back to, how do you like to be sold to? Because simply we need to serve before we can sell. So how do you create effective conversations moving forward? Well, the first and foremost thing that you need to put at the front of your mind, that was a mouthful, is the expectations aren't for you to go out on the gym floor and booking consults and tasters initially. If them expectations are there is kind of every single kind of self-limiting belief that you might have about the fear of rejection will always be there. It will always occur in your mind because you're going out there, like, it's like you're going up to a boy or a girl in a bar and trying to, I don't know, trying to do whatever on the first date, or trying to get them into kind of wherever you want to take them. And you know what I mean? Off the back of one interaction. It's not going to happen, right? In most cases, it's not going to happen. But your expectations is straight away on the end goal. And that's what builds up this anxiety and the fear of rejection. Well, remove that completely. Like, think about, how do you like to be sold to? Right, someone who goes out the way. How can I repeat that consistently on the gym floor right now? How can I go out and have meaningful conversations? How can I help people? How can I remember their names? How can I give a shit about people? That's what I need to focus on. My expectation should not be on sales, conversion, consultations and taster sessions. I've got no right to do that, because the reality is I need to get to know people first and I need to help people consistently. And to do that, I need to have normal day-to-day conversations. Okay. And if you sat there thinking, yeah, but it's really hard sometimes because everyone's got headphones in and earphones in. And honestly, I get it completely, because they are barriers, but let's be honest, let's play the long game and the layering effect, which is just saying hello. As soon as people know that you acknowledge them, at some point, they'll take their earphones out. You do it a couple more times, you remember their name, and you just build on these conversations. Remove the layers that you're putting in front of yourself. So how can we then start to carry on with this commitment and intent to show up moving forward? So one of the other questions that I feel like you should ask yourself at this point is, what do you want gym members to think, feel, and say about you? Do you want them to say that you're approachable, helpful, you go out of your way to support people on the gym floor, that you give them advice and all of that type of stuff? And honestly, the next question is really key. Like, rate yourself out of 10 right now on what you're currently doing in your own time on the gym floor to make that happen. Really important to consider that, because sometimes it's a reality check. You expect leads and sales from your gym because it's a busy gym. It might be a peak time of year, for example. But are you doing the things that align with how you like to be sold to consistently? Are you making sure that you go out your way to be approachable, not just on shift? This isn't about you in classes, you in inductions, you in the 12 hours, 8 hours for Pure Gym. This is you going out of your way in your own time to help people, so they have lots of amazing things to say about you, how they think about you and all of that. And then start to look at, right now, what would I give myself out of 10 for that? Because when I asked people in the live environment, they were giving themselves 2s, 3s, and 4s. I think the highest was 6. So clearly this is something that we all need to improve in. And then start to list down the opportunities that you have to make that happen moving forward. Again, remove the 12 hours. Clearly, classes and inductions really help, but what opportunities do you have on the gym floor to make that happen? And think about, could you do a PT point? Could you just meet and greet people as they come in? Could you look at an area of the gym where you're just going to stand in and be approachable for people and say, my name's Anthony, I'm the person manning this area of the gym. If you need any support, you just give me a shout. We go into a shop on the high street and we get asked that question all the time from a customer service perspective, because they want you to know that they're there to help them. And some of you will build resistance to that and go, they're only asking that because they want to sell. Well, yeah, but also there's an element of service in that makes people feel like they belong. Because a lot of people that you'll come across in your gym, fact is, they don't feel like they belong there. It's as simple as that. So how can you make them feel like they belong? This less about Pure Gym, it's more about your PT business. So what opportunities do you have to make that happen moving forward? And then rate yourself out of 10 on your level of belief that you'll make most of them opportunities. Like, one of the easiest ways for you to start to interact and help people consistently is, as I've just said, meet and greet people as they're coming in, catching people's names, or go into an area of the gym, and I'll explain the 4-step process in a minute, but go into an area of the gym where you can help people in a consistent way. And you just man that area, mentally rope it off. And again, I'll go into this in a minute, and support people like mad in that area. Be helpful and put customer service at the forefront of your mind. And you will get leads and clients just off that, without no plan that we go through in part 2. And then if it's not a 10, what do you need to do to make it a 10 in both of them areas moving forward? Give yourself a list of actions, okay? There'll be some of you that do that and go, right, I need to do meet and greets more. I need to mentally rope an area off. I need to be helpful. I need to make sure I commit to the times that I want to fill to help people. And some of you will write that down and apply it. Some of you will write it down and never apply it. Some of you will just wing it completely and think there's still a magic pill. But you're the one still moaning there's a lack of leads and sales and clients within a Pure Gym because it's quiet, everyone's got a PT, and all of that rubbish that you tell yourself. So moving forward, a customer is 80% more likely to buy from you when they've had 5 to 12 points of contact. You should have learned that in the foundation. Think less about converting and more about communicating initially. Really important for you to consider. And that just aligns with everything I've said. Then 5 to 12 points of contact might not be just on the gym floor. Some of you kind of watching this back might go, God, that might be 12 weeks that I might not see someone and so on. But this is where we start to use other mediums too. Like, we've spoke to them on the gym floor. We've helped them out a couple of times. It's directed them to social media. They might get an email from you. They see you in a class. They booked on an induction, all of that type of stuff. That will just increase the level of contact points and then increase the level of value for you as well. We want to make sure that we're offering curiosity-based open questions all the time. So always try to ask open questions to people to find out more. Be curious. Like, we want to be curious as much as we possibly can, because essentially that's our job as a coach, to be curious, listen a lot, because if we do and stop trying to directly solve people's problems, you'll see that the environment that you can create for them is that they start to solve their own, which is our job. We're a leader and a guider, not someone who's going to dictate methods onto people. We want to actively listen. And we want to listen for things like what they've done in the past, what they're currently doing right now, and where they want to go, what challenges, frustrations, barriers they have, all of that type of stuff. And they'll say this within these conversations. Some people will say it straight away. Some people might just need a bit of time to open up about that stuff. We want to listen to understand and not to respond. The majority of the time, even if I went on the gym floor right now with 18 years experience and qualifications and education, and I've worked with thousands of different clients, I'd have no right to respond to someone directly with a solution because I don't understand them well enough just off the back of one interaction. So my job is to listen, understand, be curious, and then start to offer maybe meaningful options at the very most. One thing that we shouldn't be trying to do is prove our worth or add value initially. All right. We're just there to have normal day-to-day customer service-based conversations that are meaningful. Because if we do that in a consistent way, it's going to open up instantly to my next point is value is added automatically when you take interest in someone. All right. Because they're not used to it. They're not used to people going out their way and helping them in gyms. They're not used to people remembering their names. It's so rare that actually good customer service these days is so rare that when you do have it and get it, you remember it and you tell other people about it all the time. So imagine that when they go to friends, family members who come to that gym, oh, Ant's gone out of his way a couple of times. Go and see Ant. He helps me all of the time. I'm a point of contact then where people feel like they can trust and they're getting to know me and they're starting to like me, which makes the whole marketing and lead generation easier. And as I said before, we don't want to try and solve the problem directly because we don't know them well enough. Now, there's 4 steps that I would say are the main steps that if I was a personal trainer or a coach going into a commercial gym right now, that I would be focusing on, whether I'm a new PT or an experienced PT who need to get back in the habit of creating these conversations. Now, as the quote says, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So you going out there offering programs, the lead magnet, the 7-day challenge, whatever else it is irrelevant right now if you've not created awareness. And step 1 is creating awareness. So I'm going to take you through 4 steps now. Super simple to help you feel more confident, comfortable, and competent in just having conversations. As basic as that is, if you get better at this stuff, then self-limiting beliefs on the initial slide on the presentation will be minimized completely or completely vanished. So step 1, you can't ever expect people to know who you are and what you do. So you have to go out of your way to make sure that people know that. I get sick of personal trainers coming to me and go, yeah, I think they just think we're a cleaner or just paid fitness coach all the time. Well, that's your fault. That's your fault. It's not Pure Gym's right to turn around and put you up on the screens and advertise you and all of that type of stuff. They don't have to do that. You're a self-employed business. And if you've got members thinking you're a cleaner or a paid fitness coach for just the work that you do, it shows the lack of work that you are doing in the 12 hours to be approachable, to be helpful, to be meaningful with the conversations. So have a bit of reflection time and go, what do I need to improve? Hence why I've asked you them questions before. Creating awareness is about focused customer service time. Talked about this a few times now. You looking at the hours that you want to fill, right? I'm going to go out there and just help people. I want to go to high footfall areas of the gym where my target market are. Now, my target market, predominantly males who had a sporting background in the past, got on a bit. They're kind of in an office job because I worked in the city centre for the majority of my career. They had a couple of kids and dad life and business life has completely took over. So they've piled a bit of weight on. They're low in confidence, low in energy, low in mood, poor relationship with food themselves and so on. So that was my market. And I knew that they would go to the resistance machines, do 3 sets of 10 on a mini circuit like back in the day, and they'd spend their time there, or they'd go on cardio. A few of them might go in classes. But whenever I started to do these 4 steps, I would always go to the resistance area and the cardio area. And that's where I would focus my customer service time. You guys will obviously know where predominantly your market go. It makes it easier for you. It gives you a level of intent instead of walking around the gym like a lost sheep, building up this level of overwhelming anxiety in your head that you're trying to sell something when you're not. You need to be open and approachable with your body language. Open and approachable is not you on your phone with your head down because you feel a bit anxious. It's you being open, smiling, approaching them. How's your day? How's your session going today? And asking open questions, which again, I'll get to in a minute. You want to greet people without asking for anything. You've got no right to turn around straight away and go, do you want to do this challenge? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? Or do you want this program? That's obviously going to probably pee a few people off. So first of all, I want to say hello. How are you? How's your day? What's your name? My name's Anthony. Nice to meet you. What is it you're doing in your session today? As simple as that. Most PTs overlook them bare basics. And then what I need to be doing is make sure if I want to build a business, so I don't fall into them stats of 7.5 months of personal trainer leads because they're not earning enough money, I need to make sure that I'm an adult about this and I drive daily proactive awareness and I don't shy away from it because I expect people to come to me because I'm in a Pure Gym, because that's dangerous. Marketing, lead generation and sales and customer service are skills. Them skills need to be practiced within your business because otherwise you will not earn enough money and you will end up leaving. And that's just a massive shame because they're basic skills that you just need to get better at and practice. Next point, I just introduced myself a bit like I did then. It's like I'd own an area of the gym. Step 2 is like introduce yourself in the hours that you want to fill. So mentally rope an area off. So I just used an example of the resistance machines. That's where my market would go. In between sets, I'd catch their attention. I just letting you know, I'm the PT supporting people in this area of the gym today. If you need any support with anything, just give me a shout. What's your name? Bob. Bob, nice to meet you, mate. My name's Anthony. Now, the normal reaction I used to get from people from that is, oh, is this a new thing? Like you're helping people and stuff like that. And you could just go with it and go, yeah, kind of. We just want to help more people. And you might play the gym card. Or you might just turn around and go, no, actually, I just want to make sure I'm helping more people and not wasting time in that staff room, listening to the PTs moaning. And you'd have a bit of banter and so on. And you can engage in a conversation. Where do you work? What you're doing? Have general human-based connection conversations. Right? This is where most PTs forget. It's like, oh, lead generation, marketing, sales. And that just kind of stalls you in your tracks from having these normal human-based conversations. So that's where it would go for me. Introduce yourself, use a little bit of a mini script like that that's going to help you kind of have these conversations so you don't feel like you're asking them for anything or feeling salesy or pushy. Next bit is I want to understand their aim. Okay. So what's really important to me is starting to establish and be curious about that member. So I know if they fall into my demographic, I've got this general assumption, but now I'm going to get some personal information of how their training is going today. How long have you been a member? So then I can ask them if they've had an induction, what they've used, what they've not used, all of that. What's the plan for today's session? What are you working towards moving forward? Would I ask them all? Probably not. You probably ask one and go off into a tangent. But they're all great conversation starters. And why they're great is because most members can't be wrong to any of them questions. So there's no fear of being judged at all, which is amazing for a member because now they've got a point of contact, they've built up a connection, and you're taking an interest in them. All I've got to do now is remember the name. That's just the hard bit, isn't it? But then I can start to take some information. How's your training going today? Well, what's the reaction? Yeah, it's all right. I'm just doing 3 sets of 10 on all of these. I'll do it for ages. It gets me out of the office. Okay, so they're quite bored. How can I build on that conversation? So all of them just open up the conversation a little bit more to understand them. And then step 4, create an opportunity to follow up. So adding on to step 3, like whilst you're here, I've engaged in a conversation. Whilst you're here, I'm doing a bit of a mini survey for people who work in and around the gym, basically see what they struggle with, their barriers, their frustrations, all of that. And then what I'm doing is everyone who comes into this survey, I'm basically giving them a free program to get you off these boring kind of 3 sets of 10 that you're currently doing now that you've just said. Fancy that? Take you 2 or 3 minutes. There's a survey. Or I'm playing a bit of a game at the minute where I've got weights in the middle of the floor. Basically, everyone who enters gets a program, but someone could win 4 weeks worth of coaching. I spin you around after 10 seconds. You add up the weight on the floor. And then off the back of that, you all get put in a competition. As you said, you could win 4 weeks worth of coaching. But just for doing it, as a thank you from me, I'll email you with whatever you pick, whether it's a free program or support with your nutrition. I'll send you a food diary and we'll sit down next time to review it. It's as simple as that. Like we've took from a normal conversation into a follow-up. So that might be the survey, the game, the challenge, the health check, whatever it is that you're doing. So that just opens up a meaningful conversation. People are more likely to do what you want them to do because you've took an interest prior to that. And then it helps us gather data to enable you to remarket to people moving forward, which we'll talk about in part 2. And more importantly, it brings them into your world. So when we talked about the 5 to 12 points of contact before, they're having more of that because they're getting an email from you. Potentially they're doing a program and a program review with you, nutrition diary and a nutrition review with you. Maybe that you've got them now into a bit of a Facebook group. Maybe you've got them in an email list, something that's going to help some level of follow-up just off the back of conversations, which will organically turn these conversations into clients anyway, without any strategy. I guarantee it. Because most people, we're in peak time right now. I'm doing this video in January. Most people in January will want to be approached and given support and help because the amount of people that just are externally motivated at this time of year and will need support because they've done it and started and stopped time and time again, this is your perfect opportunity. And it all stems from basic human connection skills. So a few actions for you from part 1. Recognize your own self-limiting beliefs and work out how you're going to overcome them, because clearly none of them are valid that are on that page. The quotes at the start, they're not valid. You need to get out of your own way. And I'm dictating a little bit now because you've seen the data. People want your help. 60 to 80% of people want you to approach them on the gym floor and give them help, support, or just be there, learn their name, look as though you care, right? Work out the times that you want to fill and book those in with yourself for focused awareness. Start helping people, for God's sake. You help more people will come into your business without any magic pill, marketing funnel, whatever. Commit to 1 full week of awareness in them times, at least. And I would say that was the third point for the guys in the live environment. For you watching this, I would say commit to 4 weeks worth of awareness. Basically, I'm taking what they've done in that next week for part 2 to see how successful just was having conversations. And then make sure before you watch part 2, pick your lead magnet. Because when we start to talk about strategic way of getting clients, which is lead generation magnets, marketing funnels and all of that, marketing plans, they need to have a place in your business, but they shouldn't have a place in your business if you can't master the basics, which is the stuff that I've gone through today. Hopefully that helps. And more importantly, hopefully it now gives you confidence that people want and need your help, and you're not going out there to sell. You're going out there to serve. You're going out there to help people. And if you do that in a consistent way, remember their names and understand them more, you will organically get clients in a commercial gym. It's that easy if you commit to it. Hopefully I'll see you on part 2. Thanks, guys.